Good day. My name is Santiago, and I live up here in the Eastern Sierra in a little town called Livining. I work for the Monolith Committee. I've been here working with them, managing an outdoor education program for the last 22 years. I also work for Eastern Sierra Audubon. I'm currently the president of the chapter, and I also lead birding tours in Colombia. And that's how I find myself here giving you guys this presentation about Birds of Colombia, birding in Colombia, and what I understand is going on in Colombia in terms of birding. So we're gonna get started. The first part, I'm just gonna show you a little bit about the geography of the place. I'm gonna talk a little bit about what is happening in terms of ecotourism in Colombia. And then I'm just going to show you lots of photos of Birds of Colombia. All the photos were taken by me, and I hope you enjoy it. So thank you for being here, and let's get going. So in this slide, we see Colombia is the northwestmost country in South America. It's also the only country with two coasts. It has the Caribbean Sea or the Atlantic Ocean to the north, and to the west, we have the Pacific Ocean. We have borders with Panama, with Venezuela, with Brazil, Peru, and Ecuador. So we're pretty well connected up there with a lot of countries. The geography of Colombia is very interesting because the Andes, coming all the way from the south, as a matter of fact, is the longest mountain range on planet Earth, enters Colombia through the south, and it's split in two. And then after about less than 100 miles, it splits into a third branch, and this third branch goes all the way to Venezuela. So we call them cordilleras down there. So we have Cordillera Occidental, the western, Cordillera Central, the central one, and Cordillera Oriental. We also have a very interesting, massive chunk of mountains called La Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, and it's considered one of the highest mountain ranges next door to the ocean. It has two very high peaks, Pico Bolivar and Pico Colon, and they are over 19,000 feet. Actually, they are 5,775 meters in altitude. This next slideshow, again, is very general. It's kind of the ecological zones of Colombia. To the north, we have the Atlantic coast area. To the west, we have the Pacific coast, which is also considered one of the wettest areas in the world, very rich in biodiversity. And then the brown area is the Andean, the mountain area. To the east, we have the light green, and that's the plains. It's all grasslands. And then south of the plains, we have the Amazon basin. Yes, we shared a big chunk of Colombia is shared with the Amazon River basin. Colombia currently has about 12% of its territory protected in the form of national park, which when you hear that, it sounds fantastic. However, the resources, the economic resources for these places are not there yet. I'm hoping that they will wake up soon and realize the treasure that they have and that is worth keeping and saving and protecting. They do have some parks, some of them more developed than others, some more accessible than others. And so this is one way that the government protects land in Colombia, is just through national parks. And the other side of that, which I will talk a little bit more after a few slides, I'm just going to give you a general idea what the Andes look like in Colombia. It's private property. But let's show you, this is Nevado del Ruiz, over 17,000 feet high. It's part of Parque Nacional de los Nevados. It's an amazing birding area, and just the territory. This is what is called páramo. It's a particular type of low vegetation habitat at very high altitude. And Colombia happens to have the largest surface area of páramo in South America. It's only found in Ecuador, I think a little bit in Peru, but mostly Ecuador, Colombia, and Venezuela. It's about 12,000 feet or so. So beautiful place. This is an active volcano, and I do come birding here. People do come birding here. It's just amazing. This is another view of the Central Andes. This is at about, I don't know, maybe 12,000 feet or so, a little bit more. What you see below is the dwarf forest, is the last bunch of trees that you get at altitude. And then as you go higher, you can see on the slopes of the peaks, you get the páramo habitat, which is this is a hotel at 11,500 feet. So again, people have been able to develop these really sweet spots, and I will be showing you some photos of especially the hummingbirds that you can find at this place. And it's a hot spring. You can see the green pool here to your left. And this is one of the places that I love to go every time I go to Colombia. It's at about 11,500 feet again. And the bird diversity and the plant diversity is fantastic. Again, the people also that work here are just super sweet. And another view of the Central Andes, just farther south, closer to Valle del Cauca, very rich in agriculture. But again, they also still have a lot of forest up in the hills. Deforestation, it is an issue in Colombia. That's why, we are, and by we I mean the people that are doing ecotourism in Colombia definitely espouse protecting and helping to protect, as much forest and natural areas as we can. This is another beautiful place in one of the smallest national parks called Otunquimbaya. Again, the birding here is just out of this world. This is the Rio Otun. This comes actually very close to that volcano I showed you, Nevado del Ruiz. This river the headwaters are someplace up there in a place called Laguna de Otun, at about 15,000 feet or so in elevation. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about conservation and what is being done in Colombia. So again, I mentioned the government has these national parks. Most of the work is being done by private groups or non-profit groups. This place, Otunquimbaya, is one of the smallest national parks in Colombia. It's one of my favorite places to visit, not only because of the habitat and the birds, but also because of the people that I've met while I've been here. This is a classic example of what I would love to see happen more and more in Colombia. Just below this place, there is a little community called La Florida. And the inhabitants there, some of them got together and formed a non-profit group called Yarumo Blanco. And they decided to lobby the government so that they could manage the ecotourism part of this little park. So they were able to convince the government that was a good idea, that they could run the hotel, that they could run the restaurant, that they could run the tours. So every dollar that you spend, or that I spend when I go there, or that the people that come with me spend when they go there, goes to the community group, to the nonprofit group, and those funds are actively being used to educate the people in the community. Some people want to be guides, some people, others want to work in the hotel, some other wants to be the cook. So anyways, they're offering all kinds of opportunities to the local community. And I think this is an amazing model of what could be replicated throughout Colombia in many places, in many national parks areas. Again, this is a great example of that. That conservation is happening in Colombia is by private ownership. There are some big landowners in Colombia, And some of them, like the owner of this place called Hotel Tinamu, got very smart many years ago and decided to stop growing coffee. This country house, this farm, is in the middle of the coffee growing area in Colombia, which is super rich soil. And one day he decided that he wanted to do something different. Actually, he's a good friend. Mauricio is his name. And he decided to let the jungle grow, take over the coffee plants. And lo and behold, right now he has this little reserve for preserve surrounded by all these coffee farms, and it has become a heaven not only for birds but for plants, for reptiles, and for mammals. And he built this little restaurant and hotel called Hotel Tinamu, and you go there and you stay there for as long as you want to, and you have guides and they feed you really well and they treat you really well. Again, private ownership doing amazing work. And what is interesting is like the landowners around this guy's property think he's nuts because he's not growing coffee. Again, somebody trying to do something different and being extremely successful at it. A cattle ranch, this is in the state of Valle del Cauca. And again, another landowner that decided to flood this several acres of his farm. This is a pretty big cattle ranch. And lo and behold, it has become a super incredible wetland. I have counted over 100 species of bird here. Some of at one time I counted close to 700 blue-winged teals, migratory birds. They come up here in our summertime, in the springtime, and they go down south on our winter time. And all because this guy decided to divert the creek that runs through his property and flood a whole bunch of land and see what happened. And he created this little heaven. Again, private owners doing something different, being bold, being criticized by the neighbors, and yet providing this exquisite habitats for all kinds of other diversity. This is a slide of the Western Cordillera. Again, private owners, they own that entire mountain that you see here before you, where the forest is. That's called Bosque de San Antonio, and it's one of the unique birding spots in Colombia. Actually, Mr. Hilty loves to go there. And again, it's privately owned, and people realize that a lot of their water comes from this forest, and a lot of mammals, and a lot of birds, and a lot of plants depends on them to provide and save this habitat, and they have done so. Again, private ownership, and that is probably the most influential and the greatest force for conservation and ecotourism in Colombia now, especially when it comes to birding in Colombia. And it's great because you just go to these beautiful country houses that otherwise will just sit unused for for many days of the year, and you are in magnificent special places, and it's super safe, and again, the biodiversity is very sweet. Part of the Western Andes, little villages in the mountains, again, forest as you go higher, so creating very unique microhabitats, and the bird life and the plant life and other life is amazing. Now we're going to switch to birds. This is a little bit of an idea of the bird life in Colombia. We got about 20% of the birds in the world, about 1,963 known species. They're discovering about 2 to 3 species per year in Colombia. Rediscovering some of them, actually, thought that they were disappeared. We have about 80 endemic species, 133 threatened species. So yes, deforestation is a big issue, and that's one of the things that we are addressing by making ecotourism as a good way to bring money to the communities and to the people down there. And so we're working on that. 133 species of hummingbird, 113 species of wood creepers. Here in the Sierra, we have the wood creeper. We got only one species, little guy, about this big. We have 113 species in Colombia. We have 118 species of antbirds. And this number, 210 species of flycatchers, just blows my mind. I'm going to show you some photos of some of them. And this other number here of tanagers, 174 species of tanagers, is something that always reminds me of how rich, ecologically speaking, especially about birds, Colombia is. I live up here in the Eastern Sierra, and is there, and the Sierra is about 420 miles long, and we get two species. We get the summer tanager, which does winter down in Colombia, and we have the western tanager that winters in Central America. But that's it. We got two species of tanagers, and that's what we get here. I can take you to one place in Colombia, right at the continental divide, and uh, and and sit in a nice little quiet spot by this beautiful forest, and we can count anything between 18 to 22 species of tanagers. One place. Again, it's just amazing. And 57 species of warbler. So there you have it, just a little sample of the magnitude of the birding experience that you can get in there meaning in Colombia. And I am going to show you the rest of the slideshow. It's just going to show you some eye candy. All the pictures were taken by me. So enjoy, and here we go. Journey through the bird community in Colombia, diversity in Colombia. Cauca guan. The ones are these very big birds, something between like a big rooster and a turkey in size. And a lot of these guys became very, very endangered because people used to hunt them. And there's a story that I could tell you, but it will go too long. But basically, people stopped going hunting in the 80s and 90s because Colombia wasn't safe in the country, in the countryside. So a whole generation of kids were born and raised and never went out hunting. So the byproduct was that a lot of these species of chachalacas and guan were able to bounce back, and now you're starting to see them just about everywhere, and that is awesome. I mean, they are loud, and they will steal all your bananas at your feeder, but they are very beautiful to watch. This is the cow. This is the Andean guan, lives a higher elevation, about 9,000 feet plus. And this is one of the most beautiful ones called a sickle wing guan. Very beautiful bird. And another endemic species called the Colombian chachalaca. Again, they almost disappear. Move to the wood rails. This is a gray cold wood rail. Torrent duck in the very pristine, crystal clear, clean water rivers up in the Andes. You are able to see this magnificent bird. They don't fly that much. They swim, and they swim against the current, feeding on macroinvertebrates. It's pretty amazing to watch them. I have rarely seen them fly. We have some good eagles. This is just one shot of one of them, of the raptors that we get there. It has about a 7-foot wingspan. This picture was taken at above 13,000 feet in elevation. The most common hawk in Colombia, the roadside hawk. You can see them all throughout Colombia. One of the migrants that come to Colombia for during our winter time, this bird will go down as far south as Colombia and spend winter down there, and then they come back up here. That's a pretty good journey for a big size bird. We have the crested caracara. This is a common bird throughout South America. You can see them from Colombia all the way to the bottom of Argentina in the Pampa area. Very successful bird everywhere. Beautiful too, pretty big. Bat falcon, and this is a female. And this bird, I've been so lucky. From the moment I found this locality where you could see this female, every year I've been in Colombia for the last, whatever, 7 years, I've seen the same female and the male in the same spot, in the same tree. So one thing that talks about there's some several houses around their habitat, and they're doing really well, and the people of the area respect them and don't harm them. So anyways, beautiful bird. This is an aplomado falcon, another bigger falcon found in the valley. This is a bird jungle. This is a double-toothed kite. And we have the swallowtail kite. I think you can see them in Texas and Florida too. If you have been there, you probably will be able to see them there. The owls, tropical screech owl, we call them the curucutu. They have a sweet, sweet vocalization, and occasionally you catch them during the daytime, and they're as surprised as you are when you see them and you get the photo. This guy I found at 11,500 feet. Remember the hotel with the hot springs I showed you earlier in an earlier slideshow? I mean, an earlier slide. And this guy was just perched like 10, 12 feet above my head. And I just happened to raise my head up, and there he was. So it gave me a great opportunity to get some good shots. And another beautiful big owl. This is like a 1.5 foot tall owl called spectacle owl. Very, very beautiful. There was the male and the female, but I chose this picture because this is the clearest one I was able to get. Then we have the common putu, very interesting bird. He has a very big mouth, and they fly at night, capturing insects. And if you can see in this photo at the base where the tree trunk meets the bird, you can see the chick, this little white thing right there. This is a mama bird. And then we go to anpiras. This is a guy that I photographed at 13,500 feet up in the Paramo area. They walk mostly down through the low brush in forested areas, and then this is one of the species that we get, chestnut crown anpiras. There's one place that I go called Rio Blanco in the state of Caldas where we can see up to 4 species of these guys within one walk. So marvelous little bottom dweller birds. And collared trogon, white-tailed trogon. This is from the lowlands in the Pacific coast. And we have the golden-headed quetzal. We have about 4 species of quetzals in Colombia. But this is a fantastic, gorgeous bird. We're going to the flycatchers. This is called a sooty-headed. This is a golden-faced tyrannulate. Cinnamon flycatcher. This is just a very cute guy. A long-tailed tyrant. Pale edge flycatcher, golden crown flycatcher. These guys have a great vocalization. They sound like one of those little balls that you play with a dog, and it says squeaky, squeaky, squeaky. That's how they sound. So they're easy to find in the forest area because of their cattle tyrant, kind of like the cattle egret, like to follow cattle and horses. And as they walk through the grass, bugs start flying around, and these guys will jump and catch them. Interesting for a flycatcher to find itself on the ground. So, torrent tyrannulate, little guy, lives again where the torrent duck lives. Very sweet, clean water rivers. Feeds on flies and stuff that are, microinvertebrates. When they mature, they come flying up, and they will munch on them big time. And yellow-bellied chat tyrant. This was actually a great shot. This guy just showed up out of nowhere. I was standing on this forest road and looked to the side, and next door to the embankment, there he was. Anyways, beautiful. Chestnut-fronted macaw almost disappeared also especially from the area of Cali, Colombia, where I was born. And they're starting to come around now. People don't hunt them, don't capture them. And you actually see them in Cali in big flocks. So they're doing really well. Spectacled parrotlets love to nest in bamboo. This guy, this picture was taken, I think, like 5 years ago, 11,500 feet, an endangered species. I have not been able to see them again or photograph them for that matter, but I hope again to be able to see them so I will know that they're doing okay. And we're switching to one of the most spectacular birds in Birds of Colombia. This is the great sapphire wing. This is probably the largest hummingbird we have in Colombia. And this picture is at 11,000 plus feet. And then we have the buffy helmet crest. And for this guy, we will go to the entrance to the national park where the volcano is, and that's at 13,500 feet. Just to look for this guy. It's an endemic species, so it's only found in this little area, and it's very small, and the bill is tiny, tiny. Again, there's not that much nectar on these flowers that are found at that elevation, so their diet consists mostly of small insects. They will feed on nectar, of course, but mostly it's just insects. Buffy helmet crest, just gorgeous. And Choco daggerbill, this is one of my favorite photos. Tourmaline sun angel. Again, you're going to be surprised. These are hummingbirds, and then they have all these interested names like sapphire wing and helmet crest and sun angel and plummeteers, white-vented, and Jacobins, white-necked Jacobin, very common hummingbird actually. And then we have a real hummingbird, swordbill hummingbird, big old bill, specialized on this very long dangling flowers, although they will come to hummingbird feeders. This picture is also at 11,500 feet. Probably the smallest hermit that we get, this is called the striped-throated, little guy. Difficult to photograph, but he gave me the shot. We have the green hermit, a little bit bigger, and color Inca, shining sunbeam. And when the sun literally hits the back of this bird, it's just amazing, just gorgeous. Again, at 11,500. Same as this guy, have a high elevation, star frontlet. This is called a buff wing. There's like 2 or 3 species. And one of my favorite birds up there, this one and another one that you're going to see in a few slides later, the rainbow-beard thornbill. I mean, look at this guy. This is a male with full regalia, just beautiful. We have sparkling violet ears. We have another sapphire, blue-headed sapphire. Empress brilliant. This is a male. This is on the western side of the Western Andes at about 900 meters, 800 meters. Andean emerald, speckled hummingbird, long-tailed sylph, purple-throated woodstart, booted racket-tails. Again, these are right. Black-throated mango. We have a green-throated mango too. Crownwood nymph. This is the green subspecies. And one of my favorite birds I have ever seen in Colombia in terms of hummingbirds. Again, the rainbow beard and then the purple back. This is also found in the same habitat where the rainbow beard is found. It's about 11,500 feet. And this guy is very difficult to photograph. And I think it was 2 years ago, in 2019, the guy finally came by where I was. So it's all, your timing and being patient and just waiting, and gave me a great opportunity for the shot. Beautiful, beautiful bird. Then we got to the wood creepers. We have hundreds of species. Show you a couple. Strong-billed wood creeper. The tanagers, again, another species. Remember I mentioned Sierra Nevada, 420 miles, 2 species. When I'm going to show you a handful of species. This is our visitor, summer tanager. Also, we see it here in the sea. This is the female. Have the flame rump tanager, son or half half relative, the lemon rump. They're found in different habitats, and they're still considered the same species. Although I wouldn't be surprised if one day, they finally do some DNA work and realize that they're two different species. And then tanagers, very difficult to photograph guy, white cap tanager. And then again, being in the right place at the right time, this guy just showed up his face, and I was able to get a good picture of this beautiful bird. The colors of the tanagers are just, I don't know if you have been up here in the Eastern Sierra, you have seen the Western tanager, maybe in the West side too. But here we get them, here in my town, like I have a couple that come by my oranges and they feed. They're just beautiful colors. So that's one thing about the just absolutely fantastic colors. This is called a crimson. This is called a bay-headed. Then we have a silver-throated and a golden-hooded, golden tanager, male and female. They look very much. And this is our endemic species. It's a multicolored tanager. Took me many years of having incredible amounts of patience to finally be able to get a good picture of this bird. And it was beautiful, beautiful tanager. And same with this guy, the blue neck tanager. And then we're gonna go to guys, difficult to photograph because you're in the middle of a green wall. But then if you're patient again, you're able to see them. Golden chested tanager and the dusky face tanager. And then favorites, I keep saying that, but they're just absolutely exquisite. This is the barrel spangled tanager. Look at this bird, it's just amazing. And this is called the saffron crowned, another super beautiful tanager. And rufous throated, metallic green tanager, and gray-headed tanager. And then the next several slides, other subspecies of tanager. These are called the mountain tanagers. The first 3 slides are birds that I have seen at over 11,000 feet, including this scarlet-bellied mountain, hooded mountain, the lacrimose. Just gorgeous, gorgeous. In the jungle area on the western side of the Western Cordillera, again at about 900 meters or so in elevation, so less than 3,000 feet. And a very common, meaning you can find them in different habitats in different places, white-winged tanager. But when you see this bird in real life, it's just, the photo is good, but in real life. And then we're going to talk to brush, pale nape, tricolor, and then euphonias, orange-bellied, and thick-bill, and honey creepers, saltators, Sierra finches. This is at about 13,000 plus feet in elevation. This is our dipper. It looks very much, in terms of the shape, like the American dipper that you probably have seen. However, their behavior for gathering food is a little different. Our American dipper is able to get in the pools of water and literally flap their wings like swimming underwater. And that's how they catch, the microinvertebrates that they feed on. This version, the South American version, this Colombian version, literally just walks down and it doesn't flap its wings and fly through the water like the American dipper does. But again, very beautiful bird. You can see the granite rock down. Very loud little birds, wood wrens, many species, incredibly difficult to photograph, like the dark, deep forest, but you can hear them, very far away. This is called a yellow-throated vireo. Another migrant, Blackburnian warbler. As a matter of fact, I don't think I have ever seen a Blackburnian warbler here in the States, but I haven't been, to their habitat here in the States, but very common in Colombia. Mountains, black-crested warbler, golden-fronted redstart, just gorgeous. And an endemic pigeon, gray-headed dove. Um, Took me about 45 minutes sitting on this hide, waiting for this guy to show up, and was able to get mask flower piercer, glossy flower piercer, and rusty flower piercers. And they're called flower piercer because if you look at the tip of the upper bill, have this little hook, and they literally will drill a hole at the base of the flower and feed, still nectar through there. And many hummingbird species have learned to look for those holes. So instead of coming at the flower from the top, they'll just go underneath and look for these little piercings that these guys have made on the flower to rub the nectar. Fruit eaters, green barred, crimson, emerald, black-billed mountain toucanet. As a matter of fact, their nest, it was a cavity on this tree, and it was just a little bit above its head. I saw the male and the female coming out of this cavity, but I really like this photo. I shared this one with you guys. Citron-throated toucan, lower elevation. This is at about 600 meters or 900 feet or so. Barbettes, toucan barbettes, almost a bird that has disappeared. It was collected indiscriminately for bird collectors, people that like to keep birds in cages. Has a beautiful song, and but they're coming back slowly but surely. They are repopulating their area. Green jay, you find them, I think, in Texas. You can see them, a subspecies, I think. And black-collared jay, and black-chested jays. This is a red-ruffed fruit crow, big bird, another type of jay. Of course, I wouldn't leave you without showing you an Andean cock of the rock, just a bizarre-looking bird. That's all feathers covering all the way to the top of the bill. And chestnut-headed autopendulas, many species of autopendulas. And then we have woodpeckers. And they come, this is at my sister's country house. This is where she lives, up in the country south of Cali. This guy just comes and just displays itself, so difficult not to get many photos of this guy. And the spotted woodpecker, this is a male green, golden olive woodpecker. Tatira masks, we have about 3 or 4 species of tatira. And mustache puffbirds, interesting bird. They don't spook very easily, so you can get very close to them in the jungle if you find them. And occasionally you're lucky that you find them and you have your camera and you can get a good shot. And this is what is called a tinamou. This is that little hotel that I mentioned earlier where the guy turned the coffee growing farm into a reserve. And it's named after this bird, the little tinamou. That's why it's called Tinamou Hotel Eco Lodge. And that I have come across during my trips: crab-eating fox, howler, white-faced capuchin, neotropical river otter. This guy caught it with a fish. I got a whole series of photos of this guy. And lastly but not least, the butterflies. Colombia is considered the country with the most butterfly species in the world, but I found you one. And the first time I saw this one, I called it the 98. But people down there call it the 88. So you decide. You want to call it a 98 or an 88? I can go with either one. And this place, this is up here in the Sierras. I just wanted to share this with you guys. I was hiking one spring about north of here in a place called Virginia Lakes, and I keep hearing this little bird, and I decided to see if I could say hello, and this is what happened. So there you have it, a white-breasted nuthatch. Thank you for joining me this afternoon and giving me your time. I hope you enjoyed the slideshow. Again, I live up here in the Sierra. If you are ever in this area, don't hesitate to stop and ask for me at the Monolith Committee office. If I am free, I would love to take you birding or just exploring the area. I can give you a tour of the lake. If you're interested in doing other birding, again, I work with Eastern Sierra Audubon, and we can go to other magical places around here too. If you want to do a little bit more brave, want to be a little bit more brave, I want to go to Colombia, don't hesitate to find me, Guadualito Birding Tours, and maybe we can arrange a way to get you down there to explore and experience an amazing place. Thank you for your time, and hopefully we'll be seeing you. Adios.